to her soul, marking the successful formation of her first demonic pact. Khasaf dissolved back. They bowed their heads toward the trembling child, sealing a dark fate from which she could never escape. The moment the silent vow was cast, the four ancient women rose from the wooden table. They did not utter a single farewell, nor did they look back at the terrifying potential they had just ordained. Kenza watched them glide out the heavy oak door, vanishing into the suffocating mountain mist as if they had never existed. The heavy silence of the stone house returned, broken only by the rhythmic puffing of Lala Aisha's pipe. The old witch exhaled a thick cloud of sweet-smelling smoke, her hollow eyes gleaming with malevolent pride. She revealed that these women were the absolute sovereigns of the nomadic seers, the architects of unseen destinies. They wielded the power to command the elements and manipulate mortal souls without ever offering a sacrifice. Had they deemed Kenza unworthy, Lala Aisha confessed she would have slaughtered the girl on this very floor. A cold spike of terror drove itself into Kenza's spine, cementing the reality of her precarious, disposable existence. The following dawn broke with a sickly, pale light, offering no warmth to the freezing reef peaks. Lala Aisha dragged the girl from her restless slumber, commanding her to prepare for a grueling ascent. They hiked in absolute silence, navigating treacherous cliffs and ancient twisted cedar roots that seemed to grab their ankles. The air grew perilously thin, carrying the metallic scent of static and impending doom. Hours blurred into a singular, agonizing march until they reached the gaping maw of a hidden cavern near the summit. Total darkness swallowed the entrance, but Lala Aisha stepped forward, her presence igniting a row of hidden torches. The flickering green flames revealed walls carved entirely with grotesque interlocking symbols of protection. These were not mere drawings, they were pulsating, living wards designed to repel the most ancient horrors of the Jinn. The cavern floor was stained with the residue of forgotten rituals, a testament to the dark pedagogy awaiting the child. This forgotten womb of the earth would become her sanctuary, her prison, and her classroom for the next 5 years. Time lost all meaning inside the mountain, the days bleeding into a continuous cycle of exhaustion and forbidden knowledge. The 4 nomadic seers returned frequently, blending their chaotic magic with Lala Aisha's disciplined, catastrophic arts. Kenza's youth withered away, replaced by a hollow, terrifying maturity that belied her true age. She learned to speak languages that burned the tongue, dialects designed to converse with things buried beneath the soil. They taught her the mathematics of misery, how to summon blights that could rot a harvest overnight. She mastered the art of severing the soul from the flesh, whispering directly into the ears of the recently deceased. Compassion was systematically carved out of her heart, leaving behind a cold, calculating vessel for the black magic. By her 18th winter, she moved with the predatory grace of a seasoned magician. Her eyes, once filled with profound sorrow, now held the terrifying stillness of a frozen lake. The culmination of her training loomed, an ordeal designed to strip away the final vestiges of human limitation. Lala Aisha declared it was time to claim dominion over the four sovereigns, the legendary Jinn kings of antiquity. These were not mere entities, they were the fundamental pillars of the unseen world, lords of the abyssal courts. To bend them to her will was to hold the very fabric of reality in her trembling hands. The initiation required a ritual of unparalleled danger, lasting 4 consecutive grueling nights. One single error in pronunciation, one faltering heartbeat, would result in immediate, gruesome annihilation. Inside the deepest chamber of the cave, the hags drew 5 precise interconnecting circles using powdered bone. 4 outer rings formed a perfect square, each awaiting the arrival of a distinct, malevolent monarch. The center ring was the anchor, a dense labyrinth of protective talismans where Kenza would sit in absolute isolation. She was forbidden to sleep, forbidden to step beyond the ashen boundary, and forbidden to show a trace of fear. To ensure her physical endurance, Lala Aisha forced a thick, bitter concoction down her throat. The potion paralyzed her pain receptors, locking her body in an agonizing state of hyper-awareness. It anchored her consciousness to the waking world, ensuring her mind would not slip into the vulnerable realm of dreams. As the first sun set, the cavern plunged into an oppressive, suffocating gloom. The nomadic hags retreated to the shadows, leaving Kenza utterly alone within her fragile ring of ash. She knelt on the hard stone, steadying her erratic breathing as the ambient temperature plummeted. Her task for the first night was to summon Khasaf, the sovereign of Rot and the keeper of earthly treasures. She began to chant, her voice a low, rhythmic drone that vibrated against the damp cavern walls. The runic syllables tasted of rust and ash, an ancient plea to open the subterranean gates. She repeated the incantation flawlessly, cycling through the terrifying stanzas with mechanical precision. An hour passed, then 2, the silence of the cave mocking her relentless effort. Just as doubt began to claw at her resolve, the air pressure inside the chamber changed drastically. A foul, overpowering stench flooded the enclosed space, smelling heavily of open graves and stagnant water. The protective ash of her circle flared with a blinding white light, violently reacting to the encroaching darkness. In the first outer ring, a dense, swirling mist of decay began to coalesce into a humanoid shape. Khasaf materialized not as a majestic king, but as a towering, bloated corpse draped in rotting finery. Pale, luminescent maggots writhed within the hollow sockets where his eyes should have been. The sheer horror of his physical manifestation sent a wave of blinding panic crashing against her ribs. This was the true face of the abyss, an entity that predated the birth of mankind. Khasaf did not attack the barrier. Instead, he tilted his rotting head, observing her with a sickening amusement. He possessed absolute knowledge of every hidden vein of gold, every sunken ship, every buried crown. His strategy was not to break her shield, but to coax her into stepping willingly into his domain. With a slow, agonizing gesture, the Jinn King tore open a tear in the fabric of the cavern itself. Beyond the tear lay a boundless vault of staggering, incomprehensible wealth. Mountains of minted gold, rivers of liquid silver, and jewels the size of human hearts glittered in the unnatural light. Khasaf's voice echoed directly inside her mind, a wet, slithering whisper, promising her dominion over the material world. He offered her the power to buy empires, to starve nations, to rule as a living goddess above all mortal men. All she had to do was extend her hand past the boundary of the ash to claim her divine inheritance. The illusion was staggering, pulling at the darkest, most buried desires of the human psyche. Kenza felt her body leaning forward, hypnotized by the endless ocean of glittering power. Her fingers twitched, desperate to touch the flawless emeralds cascading from the severed dimension. But Lala Aisha had prepared her for this exact psychological assault over 5 grueling years. Kenza bit down hard on the inside of her cheek, using the sharp copper taste of her own blood to break Khasaf's spell. She realized the wealth Khasaf offered was meaningless compared to the power required to summon him. If she controlled the sovereign, she controlled the vault. The treasure was merely a byproduct of his submission. Her gaze snapped back to the rotting entity, her eyes burning with an unyielding, predatory fire. She ignored the glittering gateway and raised her voice, intensifying the binding incantation. The words struck Khasaf like physical blows, the protective circle flaring brighter with each spoken syllable. The Jinn roared in defiance, the sound a horrifying amalgamation of grinding stones and breaking bones. He thrashed against the invisible barrier separating his ring from hers, the stench of his rage suffocatingly thick. Kenza did not flinch, pouring every ounce of her malice into the final sealing verse. The cavern trembled violently as the ancient entity fought to maintain his terrifying autonomy. Slowly, agonizingly, the oppressive weight of the incantation forced Khasaf to his decaying knees. The glittering portal collapsed instantly, vanishing like a mirage swallowed by the desert. The sovereign of Rot bowed his head, submitting his eternal allegiance to the young, exhausted magician. A searing, invisible brand etched itself into her soul, marking the successful formation of her first demonic pact. Khasaf dissolved back into the putrid mist, retreating into the void until she required his catastrophic services. The first night had been conquered, but the cost to her physical and mental endurance was devastating. Her muscles screamed in agony, her veins pulsing with the toxic residue of the bitter potion. She could not sleep, nor could she allow herself a single moment to process the sheer horror of the encounter. The center circle felt incredibly small, a tiny island of safety in an ocean of swirling, unseen malevolence. Morning arrived without fanfare, distinguished only by a faint gray glow leaking from the cave entrance. Lala Isha emerged from the shadows, her expression devoid of any congratulatory warmth. She merely nodded, tossing another handful of foul-smelling herbs into a nearby brazier to mask Khasaf's lingering scent. The second night was rapidly approaching, and with it came a threat exponentially more insidious. She would face Thuban, the sovereign of the mind, the great serpent who commanded the intellects of men. He held the power to shatter sanity, to rewrite memories, and to turn a man's deepest fears into his waking reality. Kenza stared into the darkness of the second outer ring, feeling the cold weight of the impending trial. Her humanity was already bleeding away, sacrificed piece by piece on the altar of supreme domination. She closed her eyes, preparing her battered mind for the psychological warfare that would soon begin. The darkness of the coming night would demand an even greater sacrifice, and she knew she must survive it at any cost.